Hello, hello. And so right now I'm playing with circadian rhythms. And so circadian rhythms, what it does is during the day, it reacts to lights. You can program the lights in Home Assistant to react to the actual position of the sun. So let me show you what that looks like. And I find it amazing. So right now, or yesterday at 9 o'clock, the sun was, and this is when I started working with it actually. So this is the oldest record right here. And the sun, of course, by noonish, 1:54, depending on where the sun is on your um, longitude, and of course, based on the season and stuff like that. This is what's the highest noon, and then of course it dipped below. The sun went down about 8:35 or so, and of course it went to the other side of the earth and then jump back up. And right now it's early morning. It's 7 o'clock in the morning right now, and the sun is like 10% up. So I've already set up a lot of my rooms to respond to the circadian rhythm. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you what I've done so far. First, how do you set it up? Now, there's another YouTube video that talks about how to set it up using hacks in an integration called Circadian Rhythm. Okay. And so I'm going to link that video below. And so you first, you go to here and you look for it. Oh, my alarm's going off. Echo, stop alarm. All right. And you do a search for circadian rhythm, which is it a mm, okay. Let's see here. It's not that. Integrations. Maybe because I already have it. Explore. Maybe because I already have it. Interesting. But again, I'm not going to show you how to set it up. So let's continue while I'm far ahead here. But I'm telling you, it's a very easy setup. What I'm going to show you is how it works with your automations and how you can make it where your whole entire house is going to adjust to this circadian rhythm of the sun. So let's look at this real quick. I'm going to go to settings, devices, and once you, oh, right. Okay. I remember now. Let's go back. This is really easy. So let's go back. Okay. I just remember this. You want to adjust your configuration file. For this, I'm using Studio Code Server. And as you can see here, I have, only thing I had to add was this. So I'm going to put this here because this will be in my um, configuration.yaml. Add this to your, very good. Okay. You just got to add that to your configuration file. That's it. And then once you add that, then all you have to do is restart your Home Assistant. Your Home Assistant is like, oh, I know what that is. And if you go to settings and then integrations, and you do add integration of circadian rhythms. Okay, I'm not going to do that now, but it will, then it will know your altitude and longitude based on your settings that you have in Home Assistant. Because it's all based on where you live. Okay, so the circadian rhythm is it becomes an actual entity in your Home Assistant. Okay, and I'm just looking real quick. Okay, I got lightener and a few other things too. Okay, so now if I do a search in, it's not under devices, it'll be under entities. And this produces a value. And this is the entity. It's just one item. Okay. Does not have a unique, therefore its settings cannot be managed. Ah, okay. So keep in mind, just did this yesterday. But it's really awesome because it does produce where your sun is, based on your location. Now let's go ahead and do an automation real quick. This is what I did in my office. Okay. So what I did was, of course, if my motion sensor detects motion, okay, it will basically, during the day, after sunrise, before sunset, it will activate these particular scripts. Now, I talked about random colors in another video, so I'm not going to cover that part. But the main lights, like I have two ceiling lights, and I also have a light on a stand. Three lights in this room will automatically fire this particular script that I created. So you want to create this in scripts, and it will fire that every single time. Notice at night, it doesn't do that. It activates a scene. So let's look at my scenes. Antonio office night. Basically, the lights is just going to display a soft white all night long on my ceiling in my stand light. Okay. Now I have a script that I created where this script, and notice you can't adjust it once you add this. This script right here will adjust to your circadian settings. And so, of course, you want it bright. And what you probably want to do, if your light bulbs are able to, is to add a transition. I'm not going to do this because I know the bulbs I'm using doesn't do transitions, but there are some bulbs that do. Okay. And so you could probably add a transition code. But you want to set the Kelvin, and it reads the sensor of circadian values, creates a color temperature, and then tells it which lights or entity you want to make that change to. One thing that's good about working in YAML in the GUI is that you don't have to remember the exact value of your lights. You just have to type in a few. So let's say you're typing in your light. So you type in light, oops, and then you just have to reduce the search down to a certain point, and there we go. Oh, okay. There we go. And so, and then you press enter once you find it. So notice right here, when I got to a certain point, I just used the arrows to go down, press enter, and it selected that particular light. Okay, so that is the script. I created a few others. I got the living room lamp, living room circadian rhythm, which adjusts a room. This is an actual room. Um, it's I have four lamps in the living room, and those lamps will, of course, if selected, it will adjust to that. Now, the problem I was running into is in this is in my office. Okay, in my office, I have it where whenever there's motion, it will turn the lights on. Notice that I have random colors. I have a couple of lights that don't have any purpose whatsoever, but what it does, it automatically changes the colors to random lights or to random colors. That it changes whenever the motion sensor gets activated. So let me try to move around just a little bit. Okay. And so as you see there, well, you don't see my room, but the lights changed and the circadian rhythm, whatever the current setting is at that time, the lights will adjust. Now, one thing that's great about circadian rhythm, unless you're really paying attention throughout the day, it really you really don't notice it, because it goes from a soft white very slowly to a bright blue light. It's a daylight white, and then slowly comes back down to a more redder soft light. And throughout the day, you're not going to notice these changes. But what I did was yesterday, especially when I started setting this up at 9 o'clock in the morning, I noticed that the light was somewhat of a soft white color. And then I remembered that how that looked. And about 12 or 1 in the afternoon, I looked up and I was like, oh, the light is kind of a daylight white. So it actually worked. And it changed throughout the day because I was activating the motion sensor, and every single time it'll run that script to change the lights every single time, to wherever the new value is. I did the same thing in Serenity's office. And this is only happening during the day. So you notice Serenity office motion sensor starts detecting motion, and it will. I turned off the scene, but the circadian rhythm changes. Notice that at night, after sunset before sunrise, I don't have that selected. I just have a certain scene, which brings up a very soft reddish light. All right. It also did the same thing for the bedroom and other rooms in the house, the hallways, everything. But the living room, I was trying to figure out how I'm going to do this because we have a TV in our living room, and I don't want those lights to be turned on at all times. So the living room motion sensor is there, and basically all it really does is when there's no motion detected after 1 hour or 30 minutes, it will shut everything off in the living room. It's just that, if we have the lights on, it will automatically turn those lights off if there's no motion detected after 30 minutes. Now, what I have here is a cube. I have the Acquire cube. Really, I kind of like it. I do have some issues with this sometimes. You have to take the battery out and repair it. And I told Acquire about that. They were going to refund me and keep the device. And I'm like, nah. And I told them, please realize what the issue is. Fix it in your future versions. But no, the cube is awesome. When it works great. And I love it. Um, so that 30-minute rule is really cool. But this is the cube. When I have it set to 1, it turns off the do not disturb automation. So I have a couple of input booleans that stops certain animations from happening. And so, but when I put it at one, on position one, it turns those off. Um, and then on the two side, it turns off all the lights. If I want to turn them off immediately, I can just put the cube on two. No matter if it's day or night, it will shut those lights off. And also reset the do not disturbs. You know, Number three, nothing. I don't have anything for that yet. So I just left that open. I wish I added two because I may have a day or night. But anyway, on four, I have it where between sunrise and sunset that I disabled this part, that there's random colors that are on the ceiling. That's for show. It's really like a brightness of one, and it changes colors for each light bulb in the ceiling, and it just looks pretty, even during the day. But then I have the circadian rhythm going as well. So this turns it on. My only problem is that once the lights are on, it stays at that color temperature throughout the entire day and it does not change. That was my issue. Um, Now, I I could cover a few of these others, but it has nothing to do with circadian rhythms. So what I'm doing right now is only during the day, if there's motion detected, and if the cube is set to the fourth position, it will change the living room lamps according to the circadian rhythm. So this is what I'm about to do right now. Um, and it only happens when sunrise to sunset is the defining factor of this. So when the living room sensor detects motion, make sure that it is between sunrise and sunset. I'm going to, I started to work on this and then I decided that I want to use the choose function. So living room cube side sensor is set to 4. Okay, that's the condition. So what I'm going to do is copy or cut this and paste it. But if you're doing this from scratch, of course, this is how you would do it. The action is that it will run this particular script, the living room circadian rhythm. And if you look at my script again, this is the script. Is that it will read the values, the current value of the circadian rhythm, and I have 4 lamps in this particular group. I have 4 living room lamps. And so this is actually a group that I have selected. That's why I'm using an entity. Okay, so I run the script and I also want the colors of the ceilings to change as well. Let me cut that and put it down here. Now this is extra. Of course, it's nothing to do with circadian rhythms. It's just something I'm actually doing because this is what I want to happen. Now, what I also want to do, and this is now we're stepping to the side a little bit, and I should rename this because this is something I decided to do at the last minute before I started recording this video. I want to confirm that the state of the cube, the living room cube, side is set to 5. And let me see, what are the other conditions? None? Okay. I'm going to copy this, and that's the changing of the colors. Now, the number 4, it sets the living room lamps even at night. I can show you in the cube section. Even at night, it does a very warm light. Okay, all night long. Now, if I want to turn those lights off and do colors, I can then set that for the ceiling, and that's what 5 does to give some sort of atmosphere even during the day. So I'm going to do script, and I already have this script set up. And see, go to living room, lamps, color, day. Now, I know I'm getting off. Oh, wait a minute. I have 2 of these here for some reason. Okay. And so, but I have a living room lamps random colors day, and I have a living room lamps random colors night. All right. So this is what I wanted to do, was to ensure that the lights in the living room changes if the cube number 4 is up. Now, of course, if there's no motion in the living room, naturally it won't change. After 30 minutes on that other automation, it will shut those lights down. Okay, so that is what's going to happen. But of course, that's only if the cube 4 is up or cube 5 with the random colors. Now that I have that created, I need to rename this. So let me rename it. Just bear with me for a second here. Living room cube side 4, 5. Hmm. Living room lamps cube auto lights. I I think, yeah, that's fine. I probably could have come up with a different. Let me save that, and also I need to change it here. Cube. Okay, living room lamps cube auto underscore. All right. I know there are some YouTubers out there that have like a test unit for their YouTubes. Um, when you look at my channel, you are actually seeing me do stuff that I'm doing in production. Like this is actually in production use. Um, oh, this is unsupported in Google. Okay, update. Sorry about my cat. Making a whole bunch of noise. I'm gonna have to check his cat bowl. Make sure that he is fed. Okay, after sunrise, before sunset. Perfect. All right. All right. Let me make sure I got all this down here set up. Okay. Let me show you these two. This is out of discussion of circadian rhythm, of course. So, all right. So, living room colors day. How I have this set up, and I do something different. Well, I set it up this way because in the future, I may want to do something slightly different. One of these lamps has a very dark shade on it. So there's some adjustments I got to make because I got to make it a little bit brighter than the others. And the other lamps, they have lighter shades. So I can probably bring down the brightness on that. Notice that this right here is the color. It goes from red to red. In the middle is green. Um, Let me see if I can show you that real quick. I mentioned this in the color, but let me call service. I just want to show you real quick what that looks like. Like turn on, choose entity, ceiling, doesn't matter. Okay, let me choose color. All right. So when you look at this from 0, oh, I gotta have this up here. Okay, up here is the best way. This is fully saturated red, right? So notice that it goes from 255. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at the wrong numbers here. Oh, there it goes. It's the hue level, right? The hue. Duh. All right. So from 0 is red, and let's take it to the highest number. Good Lord. Okay. And so 360 is the highest number. You can type that in if you want to, but I just want to show you that it goes down to red again, which is 0. This gives you an opportunity to go from here to here, or you can go from here to here if you ever need to go from red to orange. So you could choose these range of colors. And so you want to choose 360 for that. Now, let me go back. The second part is the range of saturation. Okay. So let me look at this again, bring this up, and notice that this is more up and down, or actually left to right. My apologies. So let's, you see how it goes up, and this is 100% saturation, 0% saturation. So if you notice at 50%, it's more of a pink color, a light pink, and at 65%, actually that's not even pink. That's a certain color that I'm not sure about, but oh yeah, I forgot you can do hex now. I love that. Oh, you can do hexadecimal. But yeah, it's this is saturation. So I only want it during the day for the lights to show colors between 0 and 50. Oh, wait a minute, that's RGB. From 0 to 50. You know, the more I look at this, I may want to do, that's 50% right there. What is this? 100. Okay, so it's like right about here, it seems like. Okay, well, you get the idea. And so you only can go to 100 on this, but this is saturation. If you look up HS color, this is something to look at in Home Assistant. And you look up HS color, it actually tells you the values. It's only two positions, okay? A light containing two floats representing the hue and saturation of the color you want the light to be. Hue can be from 0 to 360, saturation from 0 to 100. Okay, so 360, 100. So that's the first value. This is the second value. The higher the number, the more color it will have, the more saturation. The dark, well, not darker so much. It's just if you use red, of course, the more red it is, or the highest level of that particular color. And then 0, of course, is the lowest number, the more white. No matter what, it's going to be white at 0 saturation. And then you can go down from there. And so these are only two colors. You can use these others, RGB, depending on your light bulb. Your light bulb is going to react differently. But I chose this because this is the easiest. Okay, easiest to work with. So let me go back here and delete this one. And I'm not going to save it because there we go. Okay, so you can see here where I can adjust the brightness, the transition, and the range of saturation and the range of the hue. And I'm using the random code here in my YAML file. And of course, I have the which lamp it's going to go to. Okay. So that's how you deal with that. And so, and then at night, notice that I use something a little bit different. I use 50 to 100. So then you can get more saturated colors. It's nice and colorful. At night it appears to be darker, but it's just the saturation. And of course, any color in the rainbow, the hue. And I have that set for all of them at brightness 50. And so that's what you see on the living room lamps when I have the cube set to 5. Okay. So now, as we speak, I have a way of ensuring that the circadian rhythm updates every time there's motion in the living room based on the cube position, and it only operates during the day. Now, kind of give you a quick glimpse of my YAML. And of course, I'm going to copy and paste this into my, and I'll call this automation. This will be in the notes. If you use GUI, this will automatically fill in. Okay. And so I just want to make sure that you guys know what to do with that. If you use the GUI, what I usually do, because I don't feel like looking up the device ID and all that stuff, if I want to work in YAML, what I do is I'll go ahead and select the sensor first. Then I can come in here and edit in YAML and make my adjustments from there. This is already done for me. This is already done for me. I can go in here and do what I want. Same thing with this here. I can first do it in GUI, and then I go in there and I can change whatever I want in the actual YAML file. Okay, that's all I got for you today with circadian rhythms. I'm also going to title this random colors um, with a brief explanation of that. I do have a video that talks about that more in depth, and that's it. Um, I'm going to go test it out real quick. Hopefully it works. If it does work, I'll mention it in the notes below. All right, peace out. Bye bye. Oh, like, subscribe, comment below. Um, Tell me how I did. Keep in mind, I am working with production. Production meaning that this is a live home assistant system. Um, I don't like when you see YouTubers online, they have a separate computer in their and they use that to experiment with. And that's actually a good idea, actually. If you think about it, it's a good idea to have if you're working with something new and you never played with it before, you don't want to mess with your home assistant settings that you currently got. You can use a test version to play with certain settings first, get it perfected, and then copy, those um, actions into your production, um, which is fine, but and YouTubers do that. They have their, a different server, a different Raspberry Pi or something that runs their system that they use for their YouTube videos. They rarely show actual things happening on the thing they use on a daily basis. Um, I think some do, but yeah, but I don't. So when I do something, it's because I want it to work for me, you know. And if I find something exciting, I'll make a video about it and go from there. All right, well, For real. Peace out. Have a great one. Bye bye.